You ever have a moment that feels small at first? Something you laugh about, something you think you'll forget the next day. But somehow it stays with you? Not just in your memory, but in your life. For me, it started with a simple trip to the beach. It was one of those perfect summer days. The sun felt warm but not unbearable, the sky was clear, and the ocean looked calm. Almost too calm. I wasn't nervous. Not exactly. I just didn't like deep water. That's what I told people. The truth was, I couldn't swim. I had always avoided it, staying close to the shore, making jokes whenever my friends tried to drag me deeper. And that day was no different. We laughed, took pictures, ran along the sand. It felt normal. Safe, until it didn't. I remember the moment clearly. I had turned my back for just a second, just long enough to let my guard down. Then a sudden push, hard, unexpected. The ground disappeared beneath my feet. The sky vanished, and I was underwater. At first, it didn't feel real. It felt like a prank, like I would come right back up, laugh it off, maybe get a little angry. But when I tried to stand, there was nothing there. No ground. No balance. Just open water. That's when panic took over. My arms moved wildly, trying to grab onto something, anything. My legs kicked desperately, searching for the bottom. But there was nothing. The more I struggled, the more the water seemed to pull me down. Every attempt to breathe turned into choking, burning. My chest tightened as water filled my mouth, my throat. My lungs, the surface was there, I could see it, light bending through the water, but it felt farther away with every second. I was sinking, then something changed. The panic didn't disappear, but it slowed, like my body was giving up. Like something inside me realized this wasn't something I could fight. The sounds faded. Everything became distant, muffled, and that's when I saw it. At first, it didn't make sense. It wasn't clear, just a shape deeper in the water. Still. Watching. I blinked, or at least I think I did, because when I looked again, it was still there. Not moving. Not reacting. Just waiting. I tried to move, to swim away, to get closer to the surface, but my body wouldn't respond the way I wanted it to. It felt heavy, slowed, like the water itself was holding me in place. Then I saw its eyes. They weren't glowing. They weren't bright. But they were there. Focused. Locked onto me. Unblinking. There was no confusion in them, no curiosity. Just awareness. Like it knew exactly what I was. And exactly why I was there. Everything else felt far away now, muted, disconnected. And still, it didn't move, not at first. Then slowly, it came closer. Not fast, not aggressive, just drifting, closing the distance between us. And the closer it got, the more wrong it felt, like I was looking at something I wasn't supposed to see. Something that didn't belong in my world. Or maybe something I didn't belong near. I wanted to scream, but there was no air. No sound. Just silence and those eyes watching me. Then it stopped right in front of me, close enough that I should have seen everything clearly, but I didn't. Just the outline. The presence. And those eyes, and in that moment, something inside me shifted, because it didn't feel like I was drowning anymore. It felt like I was being held there. Like I had been brought there. For a reason, and just before everything went dark, I felt something. Not a touch, not exactly, but something close. Like the water moved around me on purpose, then. Nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was on the shore, coughing violently, my body shaking as water forced its way out of my lungs. Voices surrounded me, shouting, panicking. Hands gripped my arms, my shoulders. Breathe. Stay with us. Air rushed into my chest, sharp and painful, but real. Too real. I gasped again, pulling in breath after breath, trying to understand what had just happened. Someone said the lifeguards pulled me out, that I had gone under, that I wasn't responding. That it almost didn't end well, but something didn't feel right, because to me, it hadn't just been a few seconds, it felt longer, much longer, like I had been down there. With it, I sat up slowly, my body still trembling, and that's when I saw her, my friend, the one who pushed me. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with fear. I didn't think. I thought you'd be fine. Her voice shook, but I didn't respond. Because I couldn't. There was no way to explain what I had seen, and somehow I knew she wouldn't understand. No one would. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again, those eyes, still watching. I told myself it was trauma, just my mind reacting. That's what people say when something doesn't make sense. You explain it away. You make it smaller, safer, but then I woke up, gasping, my heart racing. For a moment, I didn't know where I was. Everything felt wrong, cold, unfamiliar. Then I felt it. My clothes were wet, not damp. Not sweat. Wet, like I had just come out of water. I froze. Slowly, I touched the sheets, soaked. Heavy. Cold. I sat there in silence, trying to make sense of it. Maybe I spilled something. Maybe I didn't notice, but no, this was water, real water. I changed everything, tried to calm down, told myself it was nothing. Just stress. Just my imagination, but the next night, it happened again, and the night after that. Again, every time I slept, I woke up soaked, like I had never left the ocean. The dreams got worse. More vivid. More real. I wasn't just remembering the water anymore, I was back in it. Floating, sinking, surrounded by darkness, and every time, I felt it, closer now. Not distant, not watching from far away. Closer, like it was learning. Like it was getting used to me. Sometimes, I thought I could hear something. Not words, not clearly, but something close. Something trying to reach me. One night, I woke up again. My body tense, my clothes soaked, and this time, there was a sound, drip. 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 I held my breath and listened. It wasn't coming from outside, it was inside the room. Slowly, I turned toward the door, and that's when I saw it, water on the floor. A thin trail leading from the door to my bed. My chest tightened. My body refused to move, because deep down, I already knew what it meant. Something had come in. The dripping stopped. Silence filled the room, heavy and unnatural. And in that silence, I felt it again, that same presence, close, watching, waiting. I didn't sleep after that, because I finally understood something I had been trying to ignore, that day at the beach. It didn't just see me, it chose me, and whatever it is. It didn't stay in the water. Now every night, I wait. Not to sleep, but to wake up. Because I already know what I'll find, water. Cold. Heavy. Real, and sometimes something else, something I can't explain, but I can feel, closer every night. I told myself I wouldn't sleep that night. Not after what I saw. Not after the water on the floor, the trail leading to my bed. The feeling that something had been in the room with me, but fear doesn't keep you awake forever. At some point, your body gives in. I don't remember closing my eyes. One moment I was staring at the ceiling. The next, I was back in the water. This time, it felt different, colder. Not the kind of cold that sits on your skin, but the kind that sinks into you, like it's moving through your body instead of around it. And I wasn't fighting. That was the first thing I noticed. I wasn't panicking, wasn't struggling to reach the surface. I was just floating there, suspended, like something had already decided there was no point resisting. Then I heard it, a sound. Low. Deep. Not random, it had rhythm. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but the longer I listened, the clearer it became. It wasn't coming from above me. Not from the surface, it was coming from below. Slowly, I looked down. At first, there was nothing but darkness. Thick, endless darkness that felt heavier the longer I stared at it. Then something moved, not fast. Not sudden. Just there, something shifting in the deep, and just like that, the fear came back. Not panic this time, but something worse. The kind of fear that locks your body in place because, deep down, You already understand what you're looking at, you're not alone. It rose slowly. But not like something swimming. It didn't push through the water. It just got closer, like distance didn't apply to it, and then I saw its eyes again, closer now. Clearer, still no emotion. No curiosity. Just recognition, like it knew me, like it remembered me. The water around me shifted, not like waves. Not natural, deliberate. It wrapped around my arms, my legs, my chest, not tight enough to hurt, but controlled. Like something was holding me in place. That's when I realized something that made everything worse. I wasn't drowning anymore. I was being kept. Then I heard it again. Not just a sound this time, a voice. It wasn't clear. It didn't sound human. But it was trying. Trying to form something, a word. Before I could react, it was already there, inside my head. Stay. The moment it did, the pressure around me tightened slightly. Not enough to hurt. Just enough to remind me that leaving wasn't an option. I woke up screaming. This time, I wasn't in my bed. I was on the floor, water soaked through my clothes, pooling beneath me, far more than before. My door was open. I knew I had locked it. I always lock it, but now it stood wide open, and the water trail. It was longer, not just to my bed. It led out of the room. I should have stayed where I was. Anyone with common sense would have, but fear doesn't always make you freeze. Sometimes. It pulls you forward, so I followed it. Each footprint was clear. Defined, and not mine. They were too large. Too wrong. The air felt heavier the further I walked, like the house itself was filling with something I couldn't see. When I reached the living room, the trail stopped. Right in the center, water pooled there, perfectly still, like a surface, like a mirror. Before I could stop myself, I looked into it. At first, I saw my reflection, then it moved, not with me, on its own. Its head tilted slowly, unnaturally, and the eyes staring back at me weren't mine. I didn't move for a long time. I just stood there, staring at the water on the floor, waiting for my reflection to correct itself. Waiting for it to follow me again. But it didn't. It stayed still, or maybe it was pretending to. I stepped back slowly, my eyes still locked on it, like looking away would be a mistake I wouldn't get to fix. That's when I noticed something else. The room felt damp, not just the floor. Not just my clothes, everything. The walls, the furniture, even the air. It was thick, heavy, like breathing through something that wasn't supposed to be there. I swallowed, trying to steady myself, and that's when I heard it again. Drip. I froze. Another one. Drip. This time, I followed the sound without thinking. My head turned slightly, my eyes scanning the ceiling. Nothing. But the sound was closer now. Drip. I looked down. The water on the floor. It wasn't still anymore. Small ripples spread across the surface, slow and controlled, like something had just disturbed it. But nothing was there. At least, nothing I could see. I stepped back again, my heart starting to pound harder now, that familiar panic creeping back in, and then the water moved, not a splash. Not a wave, a shift, like something beneath it had just changed position. I stumbled back, nearly losing my balance, my eyes glued to that spot in the center of the room. Stay. The voice hit me instantly, not from the room. Not from behind me, inside my head, clearer this time, stronger. I grabbed my head instinctively, like I could block it out, like I could push it away. I'm not. My voice cracked, dry and weak. I'm not staying. The moment I said it, the water reacted, the ripples sharpened. Spreading faster now, reaching toward my feet, I stepped back again, but it followed, not fast, not chasing, just closing the distance, like it already knew I couldn't go far. My chest tightened, my breathing shallow as I backed away toward the hallway. Every step felt heavier than the last, like the air itself was resisting me. Stay. Again, closer, louder, and this time. There was something else in it, not just a command, expectation, like it wasn't asking, like it had already decided. I turned and ran. I didn't think. I didn't look back. I just moved, straight to my room, my heart slamming against my chest as I pushed the door open and stumbled inside. I slammed it shut behind me and locked it. Then I backed away, my eyes fixed on the handle, waiting. Nothing happened. No sound. No movement. Just silence. Too much silence. I stood there for what felt like minutes, maybe longer, trying to listen past the pounding in my ears. Then, slowly, I looked down. The floor beneath my feet was wet, fresh, cold, like I had just stepped into it. I felt something drop in my stomach, a realization I didn't want to accept. I hadn't tracked the water in. It was already here. I turned slowly, my eyes scanning the room, the bed, the walls, the window. Everything looked normal. Too normal. And then I saw it. The closet door, slightly open. I knew I had closed it. I always close it. For a second, I just stared at it, hoping, actually hoping, that it would move on its own, that it would prove this was all in my head. It didn't. So I stepped closer, slowly, carefully, every instinct in my body telling me to stop. But I didn't. I reached out, my fingers brushing against the edge of the door, and pulled it open. At first, nothing, just darkness, clothes hanging still, shoes on the floor. Normal, completely normal. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding, and then, drip, right behind me, I froze. I didn't turn immediately. I couldn't, because I already knew. I could feel it, that same presence from the water. Closer than it had ever been, not distant, not watching, right there, in the room with me. The air dropped colder, heavier, pressing against my skin, slowly. I turned. There was water on the floor again, more than before, spreading, creeping, and standing in the middle of it, was something I couldn't fully see, not clearly, not completely, but enough to know it was there, tall, still, wrong, the shape distorted slightly, like it didn't fully belong in the space it occupied, like it was forcing itself into a form I could almost understand. And those eyes, they were clearer now. Closer, locked onto me. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. All I could do was stand there and stare as the water slowly spread around its feet. Reaching toward me again. Stay. This time, I didn't hear it in my head. I heard it in the room, low, wet, real. My chest tightened, panic surging through me as I forced myself to take a step back, then another. But it didn't follow. It didn't need to. Because the water did. It moved faster now, sliding across the floor, wrapping around my feet before I could react. Cold shot up my legs instantly, locking my muscles in place. I gasped, trying to pull away. But it tightened, not painfully, just enough to stop me. To hold me, exactly like before. The thing didn't move. It just watched, and in that moment, something clicked. Something I had been trying to ignore since the beach. This wasn't random. This wasn't a haunting. This wasn't something that just followed me home. I was brought back, over and over, every night, every dream, every drop of water. It wasn't leaving the ocean. It was bringing the ocean to me, and I wasn't escaping it. I was getting closer to it. I don't remember how long I stood there. At some point, the water let go of my legs. Not suddenly. Not all at once. It loosened slowly, like whatever was holding me had decided I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't wait to find out why. The moment I could move, I stumbled back, nearly slipping as I pulled myself away from it. My eyes never left the center of the room, never left that shape standing in the water. It didn't follow, it didn't need to, because as I watched, it started to fade, not disappear, just thin out, like it was sinking into something I couldn't see. The edges of it blurred first, its form breaking apart into the air, into the dampness around it. And then the eyes were the last thing left, still watching, still locked onto me, and then they were gone. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. I stayed in the corner of my room until morning, every light on, my back against the wall like that would somehow keep me safe. It didn't, because when the sun came up, the water was still there, not all of it. Most of it had disappeared, soaked into the floor, into the walls, into places it shouldn't have been able to go. But enough remained, enough to prove it wasn't a dream. I tried to act normal. That was the first mistake. I told myself if I could just move through the day like nothing had happened, maybe I could outrun whatever this was. Maybe distance, noise, people, something would break it. It didn't, because the moment I stepped outside, I felt it, not saw it, not heard it, felt it, like stepping too close to deep water, even when you can't see it, that same pressure, that same awareness. It was still with me. I made it halfway down the street before I noticed the footprints. At first, I thought it was just leftover water from the morning. Someone washing their car. A leak. Anything normal, but they didn't fade, they didn't dry, and they weren't random. They were spaced out, even, measured, walking, right behind me. I stopped. They stopped. I turned. Nothing. Just the empty street. And the faint, wet impressions on the ground that hadn't been there before. I told myself I was imagining it. I had to, because the other option didn't make sense. So I kept walking, and they followed. I didn't go far after that. I turned back, faster this time, trying to convince myself I was just overthinking, that if I got home, if I locked the door again, everything would settle. But deep down, I already knew something had changed. It wasn't waiting for me to sleep anymore. That night, I didn't even try. I kept every light on. Sat upright in bed, staring at the door, listening for anything that didn't belong. For hours. Nothing happened. No dripping, no movement, no voice. And somehow, that felt worse. Because it felt like waiting. I don't know when it started. There was no sound, no warning, just a feeling, that same cold weight pressing into the room. I blinked, my eyes darting around, trying to find the source. Everything looked the same, until I looked at the wall. There was a dark patch near the corner. At first, it looked like a shadow. But it wasn't shaped right. It spread too slowly, too evenly, and then it started to drip. Water. Seeping straight through the wall, not from a crack, not from a pipe, just appearing. I stood up without thinking, backing away as it spread downward, pooling onto the floor. It didn't stop. The more it spread, the darker the wall became, like something on the other side was pressing closer, pushing through. Stay. This time, it didn't come from one place. It came from everywhere. The walls, the floor, the air itself. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. It was inside me again, louder, clearer, and then the wall moved. Not the water, the wall. It bent inward slightly, like something had just leaned against it from the other side. The shape pressed forward, distorting the surface, stretching it in a way that shouldn't have been possible. I stumbled back, my heart racing as the outline became clearer. Head, shoulders, arms. It was trying to come through. The water spilled faster now, rushing down the wall, spreading across the floor, reaching toward me again. I turned, grabbing the door handle, yanking it. Yank it open as I could. I didn't look back. I ran. I didn't stop until I was outside, barefoot, breathing hard, my chest burning as I put distance between me and the house. For a moment, I thought I was safe, standing there in the open air. the night quiet around me, nothing chasing, nothing calling out, just silence. Then I felt it again. Closer, stronger. I looked down slowly. Water pooled around my feet. Not from the ground, not from rain, from me, dripping. I lifted my hand. It trembled, and as I watched, water slid down my skin. I wasn't just being followed anymore. I wasn't just being watched. I was changing, and somewhere, deep down, beneath the fear, beneath the panic, something else started to settle in. Something colder, quieter, understanding. This wasn't about me escaping. It never was. It was about me becoming something that didn't need to. If you enjoy real feeling horror like this, subscribe to Dark Night Terrors for more original scary stories. And remember, not everything you hear is just a story.